everybody. Jamie Jan, non-toxic farm mom, back in the kitchen today, and so glad that you are joining me. It is kind of cold and wet and dreary here in Greenville, South Carolina, where we live, and I decided today it was bread day, right? Everybody likes bread and soup on a cold, dreary day. So that's what we're gonna do today. And I wanted to bring you along with me here in my kitchen because I hear people saying all the time, I could never make bread. Bread is too hard. Bread takes too long. What am I gonna do if we have this supply chain issue and I can't get bread for my kids or I can't get bread for my family? Okay, so I hear that a lot. I can't freeze enough bread. My freezer's not big enough to hold my bread. Or what if the electricity goes out and blah, 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 right? So there are lots of reasons to know how to make your own bread. And yes, there are some bread recipes. My sourdough, like I have my sourdough bread, my sourdough starters back here, rising on my counter, and I love sourdough bread. But sourdough can take a lot of time, right? It's an amazing bread. It's very good for you, but sometimes you have to let it rise overnight. Sometimes, if you're just out of bread, this recipe that I'm getting ready to do might be for you. So we are going to do, it's a very easy, no knead bread recipe. I did not invent this, but I don't even know where I found the recipe. I've been making it for years. There are several reasons why I like this. A, I can start it at 4 o'clock. It can be ready for dinner when the girls get home from swimming. It's their favorite bread. It's super easy. It has 5 ingredients, 6 if you count the butter that we're going to butter the bowls with. You can say all the ingredients: flour, sugar, salt, water, yeast. Boom. It's also an amazing recipe that once you make it with regular unbleached flour, that's what I prefer to use, you can start practicing with wheat flour or other flour, or flours that you like. You can even use real grain, like roll it in, all kinds of, it's so forgiving. You can make rolls out of it. We like it because it's super amazing and tasty right out of the oven, but it makes great grilled cheese, it makes great peanut butter and jelly, it makes great toast. Okay, so, and I like it because, let's face it, right? When you grab a loaf of bread, this is supposed to be white wheat, healthy white wheat, healthy, yeah, easy for you to say, healthy white wheat bread, okay? Look at me, look at this. Look at all the ingredients that are in a loaf of bread when you buy it from the store, okay? And not to mention, there have to be some kind of preservatives in this, right? Or it wouldn't last very long at all. Okay, so I love this bread because it's simple. It's no knead. If you look it up on the internet, it might even be called peasant bread because it just uses ingredients that we usually have in stock. So, it's easier to stock up on flour, sugar, yeast, and salt, right? Those are staples. You can stock up on those and have those in your pantry. I actually have a 5-gallon bucket of wheat flour. So you can stock up on those for emergencies, right? In case the supply chain issues happen, in case the electricity goes out, in case there's a bad storm, whatever, right? And you can feed a lot of people with those 5 ingredients and this bread recipe. Another reason I like it is because we're gonna bake this in Pyrex bowls, okay? So a lot of you probably have Pyrex mixing bowls. I literally went and I had a set that I think I've had since we're married, and then I went and got another set at Miracle Hill, a thrift store, so that I would have 2 sets because I bake this bread all the time. I like to use the medium-sized bowl, but you could use the smaller bowls and make more. You could put this in muffin tins and make rolls, dinner rolls. Excuse me, there are so many things that you can do with this recipe. You are going to love it, okay? So that's what we're gonna do today. My girls are at the pool. It's cold, it's dreary, it's yucky. I'm gonna make soup, and they're gonna have hot bread waiting on them when they come home, and I'm super excited. So everything I use today, I will drop in the links below, and I'm gonna actually show you, text messages during my video. How dare they? I'm going to show you really quick what I use, then I'm going to flip the camera and you can watch me mix it up. Okay, so I like to use use an organic all-purpose unbleached flour, okay? So this is my favorite brand, Arrowhead Mills, okay? You can find this at Walmart, Publix, Ingles. Those are the stores down here. Kroger, Meijer, you can probably find this any place. You can also order it online, I believe. Okay, so if you want to have it in bulk. This is my favorite all-purpose flour. I like this. It's actually a combination of hard red and from hard red winter wheat, and I like it. It makes great bread. Okay, you are gonna want a salt. This recipe, when I initially started making it, called for a kosher salt. So I always have Morton's canning salt on hand. I like to use this. You can use whatever salt you have, honestly, okay? It's gonna take sugar. I like to use raw sugar, so that's why mine's like brown and not really white. And some yeast, okay? I like to use instant. This is for bread machines. It's the instant rise yeast. This is what I use for this recipe. You can pick up the active dry packets. You know, I would stock up on some yeast, okay? If it was me, I always have yeast. I always buy this, keep it in the refrigerator, but I always have packets on hand too. So that's it. Flour, sugar, salt, and water. It's gonna take some water. So here's the main reason I like this recipe. 5 ingredients, and you're gonna be able to remember them, okay? 4 cups water, 2 cups sugar, 2 teaspoons salt, 2 teaspoons, oh, did I say that right? Hold on. 4 cups water, no, I'm sorry, 4 cups flour, 2 cups water, I did say that, okay. Blah, 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 blah. I am not even gonna edit this, but the reason that I like this is because it is easy to remember, not always easy for me to say on a video. Okay, so it's 4 cups of flour, whatever flour you choose. If you do start playing around with wheat flour, you may have to adjust the water a little bit, but it's 4 cups flour, 2 cups water, 2 teaspoons sugar, 2 teaspoons salt, and 2 teaspoons yeast, and then 2 tablespoons of butter for later. So it's 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, so it's easy for me. I don't even have to pull out the recipe. All right, so we are gonna get busy, and we are gonna start making this bread together. Okay, so I think you can see my bowl, and you can see my table area, so you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So I just mixed this up in my big Pyrex bowl, okay? And what we're gonna do first is we are going to mix the dry ingredients, okay? So I poured out my flour. So 4 cups flour. You guys, I kind of eyeball it. This is a super forgiving recipe, okay? And then our 2 teaspoons of our instant rapid rise yeast. So 2 teaspoons, 2 teaspoons, and then 2, oops, I'm gonna put the lid back on this because I'm notorious for spilling it. 2 teaspoons of sugar. I have read this recipe where some people prefer 3 teaspoons of sugar, or a tablespoon of sugar. I think it's fine with 2. We don't do a lot of sugar in our family, so this is perfect. All right, and then 2 teaspoons of salt. All right, so I'm gonna use my kosher salt. This box has lasted me for so long, for so many things. I love this. But you could, like I said, use pretty much any salt, okay? It doesn't have to be your kosher canning salt. And then we're just gonna whisk those dry ingredients together, get them all mixed in. All right. I always like to mix first. This is pre-sifted flour, so I don't know, I like this flour so much. Again, I'll put the links below. And then we're just gonna add in our 2 cups of lukewarm water, okay? Lukewarm water, and then we're gonna whisk it up. This is a super wet dough, you guys, okay? Super wet. So I'm gonna whisk it a little bit, and then I'm gonna use my spoon. Get it all mixed up. You guys are gonna love how oops, look, I'm so messy. That's why I put on my apron. I had a dark gray shirt on, and I was like, oh, I better put my apron on. I don't cook with an apron very often. I should, but see, look, whoop, flour. All right, I try to be neat and tidy. All right, so we're gonna go to the spoon now that it's getting a little bit like gooey. I'm gonna use my spoon, and you can even use a big fork. Sometimes that's probably what I should have grabbed. I like to mix things up with a fork because it's a super wet dough. All right. That's good enough. All right, so I'm gonna finish mixing it up so you guys can see it. We may have to add a little bit more water. We shall see. But it should be wet. It should all mix in and be a little bit wet. Yeah, I think I'm gonna need just a smidge more water. All right, so we're mixing it all up. Mix, 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 mix. Mix. All right, I'm gonna add a little bit more water to this because it's not quite mixed in enough the way I want. All right, so you guys get the idea. Like, look, it's all in one bowl. I also like this because it doesn't dirty as many dishes. You guys are gonna love this. I can't wait. And your kitchen is gonna smell good. And on a perfect, or on a really rainy, dreary day, this just brightens up my day. Okay, we are all mixed. All right, since my hands are washed and clean, I'm going to scrape that back in, all right? And then we are literally I'm gonna cover this. You could cover it with saran wrap. You could cover it with a tea towel, whatever. And then we're just gonna put it in a warm spot and we're gonna let it rise. In the summer, when it's like super hot and humid, probably an hour and a half. But never, it won't take more than like 2 hours, and it's gonna rise and it's gooey, and then we're gonna do the next step. Today, since it's cold and yucky, I'm literally gonna cover it. I turned my oven on to like 300 and just got it warmed up, and I'm just gonna sit it on top of my warm oven, and it's going to rise in that warm oven. Look at me, all messy, see? Isn't it a good thing that I have my apron? All right, so we're gonna go let this rise, and then we will check it out later. Okay, the bread is rising. It probably has about 15 minutes to a half an hour left, but I wanted to show you. It's rising, it's getting bigger. It's sitting right here by my stove, by my oven. I made some zuppa while it was rising, but next we are going, oops, I forgot to grab a paper towel, so let me do that. Okay, so next we are going to butter the Pyrex bowls. So what I did was I got 2 Pyrex bowls and I just put a tablespoon of butter in each of them and let it sit to room temperature. And this is a key process. This helps it come out better, but it also makes it all crusty and golden brown and beautiful on the outside, all right? So before we divide this dough in half, it's gonna make 2 round loaves. So I'm going to butter all the way up the sides because the bread is actually gonna rise and it's gonna make a pretty big size bowl-shaped loaf of bread, okay? So we're gonna butter. While we're waiting on this to finish rising, I wanted to show you how I just kind of take a clean paper towel. You could use your hands if you don't mind getting your hands all buttery. You could also spray this if you are not a butter person, but in my family, we just like to use real ingredients as much as possible. So I tend to not use vegetable sprays or things like that unless they are like an avocado oil or something like that. So they're all nice and buttered. We have 2 pans already, bowls, and you guys, you could do this if you don't have Pyrex mixing bowls. You could bake this in a loaf pan. I'm not sure, like loaf pans are pretty deep and dense. So you could do them in mini ones, you could do them in big ones. So you don't have to use Pyrex bowls. We just love it and it's easy, and most people have some sort of a mixing bowl that is oven proof, even if it's not the Pyrex brand. So we like to do it this way, but you could use whatever dishes you have in your house. Okay, so I'm gonna go stir the zuppa and then I'm gonna come back when the bread is ready and show you the next step. All right, you guys, look at it. It has risen. It is, look how beautiful. Okay, so you can see what I mean by I say it's a wet dough. We didn't have to knead it. I just let it rise, and it's been rising for almost 2 hours while I was making some zuppa. All right, so now here's what we do. 2 forks. Those are your tools, okay? We are gonna punch it down, okay? So we're gonna punch it down, and then we're gonna just kind of go like this, scrape the sides a little bit so it like deflates, okay? And then what we're gonna do is I'm literally just gonna kind of slice this in half with my forks. All right, so I'm gonna pull it apart with my forks like this, and half of this is gonna go in each of my buttered bowls, okay? But forks are your best friend because you can kind of scoop it out. So I'm gonna slide my other bowl over. All right, I might not have done such a great job of dividing it in exactly in half, but that's okay. My kids are still gonna love it and eat it. They're so excited to come home from swimming and know that they have bread waiting on them. I think that made it easier to go to swimming today for them. All right, sorry, it's not cooperating and coming out like it usually does. All right, so this is real life. So what I do then is I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna scoop this side out, and I'm gonna plop it into this buttered bowl. All right, you need to stay over there. All right, so I've plopped that into this buttered bowl, and then I'm gonna plop this one. Let me get back on camera here. Plop this half in this buttered bowl. All right, and there's a little bit more dough in there that I don't want to waste, so I'm gonna scrape it in and just let it sit on top, and we'll share it. Don't want to waste this good dough. All right. Okay. Put that in the sink. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover these with saran wrap again. I just like to use saran wrap. I think I'm used to using saran wrap because sometimes in the summer it's super hot, and you know, I don't want a fly to sneak in or something like that. So I always just use saran wrap. I also think saran wrap helps just with the rising part, like keeps the heat. So I'm not gonna sit them on my oven or my stove because I have Zupa going and I don't want it to be too warm, but I'm just gonna slide it over and sit it by my stove. We're gonna let it rise for another 30 minutes, and then we're gonna pop it in the oven together. So if I was using the smaller bowls, the 1 liter bowls, which are the smallest, this would literally crown and rise over the top, okay? This is not gonna get that big. We're gonna let it rise though. It's probably gonna, you know, come within a half an inch to an inch to the top. We're gonna let it rise that far. It usually takes about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more. And then we'll pop it in the oven, and it's gonna be perfect timing. Because it will be hot and ready when my girls get home from the pool. It's so fun. Okay, well, I don't know why, but for some reason this bread did not rise as much as I wanted it to. I don't know if it's the weather. I'm not sure, but it's still going to be yummy and tasty, and it's going to bake up so nice. So we are going to get this in the oven. It goes in the oven on 425, so my oven is already preheated to 425. It's going to go on 425 for 15 minutes, and then we're going to turn it down to 375 for the last 15 minutes. And then I can't wait to show you how beautiful this bread turns out. You are going to just be so amazed. It's been such an easy recipe for me over the years. I hope you will find the same and you will use it for your family. But let's get this in the oven. Hey guys. It's done. Okay, I took my apron off because the messy part is over, and I was getting kind of hot in my kitchen, which is nice because it's kind of cold outside for South Carolina. So I have taken the bread out of the oven, and now I want to show it off and let you see this beautiful bread. So I'm gonna tilt my camera down. All right, so oh, I about tilted you guys too much. Real life here. Okay, let me do that. Oh. Okay, so you can see the beautiful bread. 2 Pyrex bowls is all it took to make this bread. Isn't that so cool? All right, now remember, you can make it in something else if you have it, but I think bread bowls are so cool, and then like they're beautiful. You can take them, you know, to a dinner party or something like that. So now look how easy they just pop right out. That's how easy they slide out. But I want you guys to see I'm gonna turn it over and see how beautiful it is on the bottom. Isn't it gorgeous because of how we buttered the bowl? These will slice. They are awesome. I'm gonna leave them right here. They won't last very long at our house. The girls will eat them up when they get home. But they are super, super, super yummy. So thank you guys for joining me. I'm gonna turn you back up. Well, that didn't work very well. All right, so thank you for joining me again in my kitchen. I hope you now see that making bread isn't something that has to be scary or hard, or even that time consuming. We started this process, I don't know, at like 3:30, and it is, what time is it? 6:44, and dinner is ready. That's how great it is. So this could come in handy if you just want to make your own bread and want to have, you know, great stuff for your kids to eat that, you know, you can pronounce the ingredients for your family. It could come in handy in a crisis situation, if your power is out, if, you know, supplies are hard to get and you can't get to the store, if you're snowed in, whatever catastrophe there might be. If you have flour, sugar, salt, water, and some butter, that's all you need, and you could bake it in any dish. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a Pyrex dish. So thank you for joining in my kitchen. I hope you now have a recipe that you can use that will help you in your kitchen. And I will post all the rest. I will post the recipe. I will post links to things that you can find to make it easier. All of that will be below in the description. And thank you again. Hit the subscribe button. We're gonna have more amazing fun things from Non-Toxic Farm Mom. So I appreciate you following along and being a part of this amazing journey. Bye guys. Thank you.